Hi children, good morning. Today I will explain about different ecosystems, that is 7th chapter in 8th class. Before going to this topic, I have discussed with you about habitat and ecosystem. Do you know children habitat? The dwelling place for plants and animals is called habitat. One habitat is shared by different types of plants and animals. There are different living and non-living things in one habitat. That is about a habitat. Here they have given what is ecosystem. Actually, ecosystem is a basic unit of nature. It is worked on understanding the relationship between living things and their environment using different terms like habitat, biome and ecological system. See, till the use of the term ecosystem, people were studying interrelationships in nature in separate units, either at small level like habitat or at a large level as a biome. Simply, you have to remember it. It is worked on understanding the relationship between living things and their environment, that is ecosystem. The term ecosystem was first used by A.Z. Tansley in the year of 1935. Actually, A.Z. Tansley was a British botanist and ecologist. Do you know botanist? The person who studies about plants. Ecologist means the person who studies about behaviors of birds. So here A.Z. Tansley was a famous British botanist and ecologist. Tansley coined the word as a reduction of the term ecological system of ecosystem. According to A.Z. Tansley, nature works as a system in which organisms and their communities are profoundly influenced by many non-living environmental factors and vice versa. See, Tansley, many other ecologists had also worked on understanding the relationship between living things and their environment. They use different terms like habitat and biome and ecological system. This is the main concept about a habitat and ecosystem. What is a habitat? The dwelling place for plants and animals is called a habitat. Whereas ecosystem, the interrelationship between living things and their environment, that is called ecosystem. See, coming to next line, in ecosystem we studied about the changes occurring in the habitat, like organisms moving away from the habitat or entering the habitat. This is the important thing. Next one, what is the structure of ecosystem? See here, they have given one small activity. Aim, the study an ecosystem at your school or home garden to understand its structure. For this, you will require the following materials. Materials required: measuring the tape, string, small sticks, and hand lens and hand towel. Procedure: to know about the structure of ecosystem, you have to follow the following procedure. One is use a tape to measure a square area that is 1 meter long and 1 meter wide. It can be on grass, bare, dirty, and sidewalk. Mark the edges of the square with the help of string chalk as shown in the figure. Observe the study area. Look for plants and animals that lives there. Use the hand lens. Once observe what type of animals are present in the soil. See, small microorganisms are present, earthworms are present, insects are present, etc. Means take one small area which consists plants are present or existed, insects are present, earthworms and microorganisms are present in the soil. This is the first activity. Coming to the second one, interdependence between the biotic components. Before going to the term biotic components, there are two kinds of components are present. One is biotic components, second one is abiotic components. Biotic components means the living things like plants, animals and microorganisms are known as biotic components of the ecosystem. Whereas some things like soil, water, sunlight, etc. are called as abiotic components of the ecosystem. Simply, biotic components means the things which have life are called as biotic components. Abiotic means the things do not have living things. Those are called as abiotic components. Living things examples are plants, animals and microorganisms. Abiotic components examples are soil, water and sunlight, etc. Come to the main point, interdependence between the biotic components. See here, biotic components means plants, animals, microorganisms. Always we know that there is a feeding relationship between plants and animals. Along with this, we can see an interdependence between plants and animals for space, for reproduction, for shelter, etc. as well. We find that not only the biotic components show interdependence among themselves, but biotic and the abiotic components like air, water, soil, etc. are also interdependent. See, all the organisms in an ecosystem derive energy from food to live. The sun is the main source of energy for all living things. Plants trap this energy through the photosynthesis. Leaves are green in color because of chlorophyll. Animals do not get energy directly from the sun. Many animals eat plants which use the sunlight to make food. Animals that do not eat food do not eat plants still depend on the energy of sunlight as they eat other plant eaters. This is the main thing. See here, plants are present, animals are present. Plants gives us oxygen. Here animals releases carbon dioxide which is utilizing by the plants. That is interdependence of plants and animals. So it depends each other. Animals depends upon plants, plants depends upon animals. Okay, next one. Do you know a food chain has 3 levels? See here, once observe. There are 3 levels of food chains are present. Sometimes it may contains 4 levels. Several plants, algae, etc. use sunlight to make their food are called as producers. You know, producers means to produce food. See, all plants preparing food material by their own with the help of photosynthesis process. Because here green pigments are present which traps the solar energy to synthesize glucose. So simply remember it, producers means to produce food material. Okay, this is the first level in the food chain. Food chain has 3 levels. In that first one is producers, means almost all plants, some photosynthetic bacteria. Second one, consumers. Consumer eat other living things and get their energy from them. That is second one. Consumer means almost all animals, including human beings. The last level is made up of decomposers. See, they feed on the wastes and debris of plants and animals or on their remains after they die. They return nutrients to the soil for plants to use as the cycle begin again, so they are also called as recyclers. See, now you will get clarity. A food chain has three levels. One is the producers, second one is consumers, third one decomposers. Producers means almost all plants and photosynthetic bacteria and chemosynthetic bacteria. Second one is consumers, almost all animals using food material. Third one is decomposers. Decomposers are return nutrients to the soil for plants to use as the cycle begin again. So they are also called as recyclers. Decomposers also called as recyclers. That is main concept. Next concept is changes in the ecosystem. Do you know, children, how it will get changes? Yes, ecosystem can also change quickly. Powerful storms and tsunamis, etc., can destroy ecosystems very quickly. And humans are also instrumental in the bringing about the changes in the ecosystem. Ecosystem can vary from a small plant to a dense forest. The biosphere is the largest ecosystem present on the earth. It would be very difficult to study biosphere as a whole, and ecologists classified the ecosystem based on the various aspects. Some such classifications are artificial, natural, temporary, and permanent. There are different kinds of ecosystems. So due to abiotic factors, different ecosystems develop in the different ways. These factors and their interactions between each other with the biotic components have resulted in formation of different types of ecosystems as explained. See here, different kinds of ecosystems are present. Once observe this flowchart. Flowchart of classification of ecosystems. Basically, ecosystem two kinds: natural ecosystem and artificial ecosystem. Natural ecosystem again classified into two types: terrestrial ecosystem and aquatic ecosystem. Terrestrial ecosystems are classified into three types: grassland ecosystem, forest ecosystem, desert ecosystem. Whereas aquatic ecosystem classified into two types: freshwater ecosystem, marine water ecosystem. These are the different kinds of ecosystems. Do you know, children, mangrove ecosystem? See, mangroves are one of the most productive ecosystems on the earth, deriving nourishment from the terrestrial freshwater and tidal salt waters. Mangroves are the forests that grow in backwaters, low depth areas of seashore. Mangroves serve as important feeding, nourishing, and breeding grounds for a variety of commercial important organisms, and also serves as protected areas for endangered species. Do you know, children, Koringa mangrove is situated south of Kakinada Bay and is about 150 kilometers south of Visakhapatnam. Koringa is named after the river Korangi. Koringa mangroves receives freshwater from Koringa, Gaderu rivers. These are the tributaries of Gautami and Godavari river, and salt waters from the Kakinada Bay. Numerous creeks and canals travel in this ecosystem. This is the main thing. Okay, this is about mangrove ecosystem. Coming to next one. Do you know, children, one thing, the world hosts 32 of the 34 known phyla on the earth, and oceans between 5 lakhs and 10 million marine species are present. Okay, species diversity is as high as 1000 per square meter in the Indo-Pacific oceans, and new oceanic species are continuously being discovered. See, many plants and animals are there in this world. More and more in number existed in the oceans, especially in Pacific Ocean. It is the largest ocean. Already we know that. Okay. Coming to the next concept. That is a food chain has three levels. Already we discussed producers, consumers and decomposers. But here we should read about the main thing, the desert ecosystem. We know that the biodiversity conference held at Hyderabad 1 to 19 October in the year of 2012. This is a biodiversity conference. In this conference, they discussed about some animals and plants are losing continuously on the earth and the oceans. How to protect those animals and plants on the earth? They discussed in that conference how to protect them, how to conserve them, how to establish sanctuaries and national parks and zoo parks to the animals. In this concept, we have to learn the desert ecosystem. The desert occupy about 17% of the land and occur in the regions with an average rainfall of less than 23 mm per year. Do you know what is the reason? Due to extremes of temperature, the species composition of desert ecosystem much varied and typical. See here, producers are there, the shrubs and bushes, grasses, and some trees are the main producers in the desert. And some succulent cacti are also found in the desert. Cactus plants are there. These store water in the stem to be used during the time of water scarcity. Some lower plants such as lichens and xerophytes, mosses and blue-green algae are also found there. These are producers in the desert ecosystem. Whatever consumers. Only a few animals are found in deserts. The most common animals are those reptiles and insects. Reptiles means here snakes and lizards. Those reptiles and insects which are able to live under xeric conditions. Here xeric conditions means it contains more temperature. Mammals and insects are also able to live under xeric conditions. Mammals are represented by a few species of nocturnal rodents. What is a nocturnal? The animal searching food during night time only. So those are cockroaches and rodents, rats. Some birds are also present. The camel, called the ship of desert, feeds on tender shoots of the plants. Shoots means here stems. Has to store the large quantities of water in its stomach. The larger animals are scarce. The desert animals have various morphological and physiological adaptations which enable them to live in such extreme environment. See next one, decomposers. What type of decomposers are present? Due to the poor vegetation, means there is very less plants and less amount of dead organic matter, decomposers are few. They are thermophilic fungi and bacteria. This is the main concept in the desert ecosystem. Coming to forest ecosystem. See here, forest ecosystem. Divide all of your classmates into 4 groups. Collect the information on forest of Andhra Pradesh and write the flora and fauna and fill up the following table. See here, trees are there, shrubs, herbs, creepers, moss, fungi. These are the flora. All plant species present on the earth. The flora means all plant species present on the earth. Flora. Fauna. Here fauna means herbivores, carnivores, rodents, birds and insects. These are different kinds of animals. Fauna means here the total animal species present on the earth. So here we can observe in forest ecosystems both flora and fauna. means different plants and animals are present. Sir, here what is a flora? See, they have given what is a flora. These are mainly trees that show much species diversity and greater degree of stratification. Fauna means it includes herbivores like animals feeding on the tree leaves as ants and flies, beetles, leafhoppers and bugs and spiders, etc. And elephant, nail deer and moles, squirrels, shrews and flying foxes and fruit bats and mongooses. And also carnivores like snakes, birds and lizards, fox, etc. And top carnivores like lion, tiger can also live in the forest feeding of animals. This is the second one, forest ecosystem. Coming to last one, energy flow in an ecosystem. Do you know, children, the main sources of this energy is the sun? Already we discussed. The solar energy enters the space in the form of light rays. Approximately 57 of solar energy is absorbed in the atmosphere and scattered in the space. Around 36% is expanded in heating water and land and in the evaporating water. Nearly 8% of light energy strikes the plants, of which 80 to 85% is absorbed. And then only 50% of it's utilized in photosynthesis process. This energy is captured by the plants and is stored in the form of potential energy in foodstuffs. These are known as the producers and represent the first trophic level in the ecosystem. The energy stored by the plants is passed through the community or ecosystem in chain. A food chain consists of 4 steps: the producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers and tertiary consumers. The energy flows from the producers to consumers. At each transfer, a large portion, nearly 80 to 90% of potential energy is dissipated as heat produced during the process of respiration and other ways. This is the main topic about different ecosystems. Once remember, the word ecosystem was coined by A.Z. Tansley. Interrelationship between biotic and abiotic factors can be studied as a part of an ecosystem. Living things like plants and animals and microorganisms are the biotic components of the ecosystem. Abiotic components of an ecosystem constitute soil, water and sunlight, etc. Several ecosystems exist around us. The food chains, food webs explain interdependence between the biotic and abiotic components in the form of the nutrients and energy. The food chains have 3 levels: producers, consumers and decomposers. The producers trap the sunlight to produce food for themselves as well as for others. Consumers get energy by eating either producers or other plant eaters. Decomposers are recreators who feed on the waste of the plants and animals or remains of the plants and animals after they die. In this chapter, they discussed only desert ecosystem and forest ecosystem. Here, I have to learn 2 times again. Food chains and food web. What is a food chain? The interrelated of organisms connects through food is called as a food chain. Food web means all food chains together form food web. These are the main points. Keep in your mind, children. Just listen it again. Remember it. Thank you. Thank you so much.